Welcome back to Filling Your Toolbox, a podcast designed to make all of the amazing resources that we have in Anne Arundel County for our teachers more accessible. So on today's episode, we are going to delve into the world of certification and licensure. So let's meet three of the most amazing women in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. You all know them, or will soon. Nikki Carpenter, Carla Enriquez, and Joyce Matney. And I still have no idea how there are only three of you. And there used to only be two. So welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you guys here. So just a quick little intro about our guests this morning. And I'm going to go out reverse alphabetical order. We're going to start with Joyce. So Joyce Matney, HR certification specialist, was after 25 years in the corporate world and manufacturing quality assurance, joined Anne Arundel County Public Schools in 2005 and started in the sub office, which is amazing, and has now been in certification at various levels for almost 20 years. Wow. And I love that you hold a certified professional from the Society of Human Resources Management and professional in human resources. And yes, Joyce has to renew her certification too. Hobbies are sketching, painting, calligraphy, and genealogy, and traveling. Yeah, I love the traveling piece. Mm-hmm. My sister's a genealogy buff. We have next Carla Enriquez, who started in MSDE in certification in 2019 and then transferred to Anne Arundel County Public Schools in 2022 with a bachelor's degree in secondary education and a master's in special education. That's pretty impressive. And was a classroom teacher for 9.5 years, teaching grades 7 through 12. Awesome. Like 7th grade. That's where my heart was. Enjoys reading, hiking, and spending time with her pug. Aw, I have 3 dogs. And Nikki started an HR certification in June of 2007 and has been here for almost 18 years. Has a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's in business administration with a specialization in human resources management. Enjoys watching sports, especially Ohio State.
Go Bucks.
I'm saying, okay. Spending time with family and friends, and 2 golden retriever puppies.
Yes.
Yes, how old?
They're just about 5.5 months old now. They were gifts, Christmas presents for our children. Aww. But I think I love them more than the kids at this point. Mm-hmm. So
my husband says every time we get a new dog, it's for the kids. Sure.
Yeah.
How about your pug? I have to ask, how old is your pug?
He is 7 right now.
Aww,
yeah.
Very sweet.
He's sweet.
We have 3 beagle mixes. They're very busy. So just to kind of dig in, we're going to get into like a little bit about what your role is, how you help our teachers, because that's what we're all here for, is helping our teachers get to that licensure, and so we can keep them on. Mm-hmm. So let's start in with, tell us a little bit about your role.
So all 3 of us had the same training. We were all trained by Maryland State Department of Education, or acronym of MSDE, as a certified authorized partner, which we call a CAP. Basically means we do the same thing as all the specialists up at MSDE. So everything that they do up at that level, we do here locally. The only difference is that we do it specifically for all of our teachers and administrators under contract with Anne Arundel. If an educator is not employed with a local school system, that's when they would work directly with MSDE.
Nice. So it's nice that we have you here instead of having to go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. And what brought you to this role?
I mean, I feel like, this kind of goes back to our bios in terms of we've all had different paths to bring us to the certification department, which is what I think makes us all such a great team in the end, is that we bring a different piece to the table. For me, it was I was graduating college and needed a job and started out as a technician in 2007 and then just slowly but surely worked my way up. So really was hired primarily to do things like tuition reimbursement, which will be one of the topics that we talk about later. Yeah. But, really what brings me every day is the teachers and the educators and serving our students at the end.
That was going to be my the next question. So what do you love about what you do?
Yeah.
Well, I would say serving, having that communication with their educators, and just giving them the information that they need to grow professionally. I was a teacher myself, so I had many of the same questions that they have. As as a new teacher in Maryland, coming from out of state, you have a lot of questions, and sometimes the process can be overwhelming.
Absolutely,
Just
yeah.
all the information, or conditional teachers also can be overwhelmed with the amount of information that they need to know about getting their professional license. So I think just walking them through that process, having that one-on-one service that we try to provide to them, creating resources, and just sharing just everything that AACPS offers them so that they can grow professionally here, they can stay with us, yeah, I think just doing that, it does bring a level of satisfaction professionally, I think, in our role.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Joyce, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, just back to what brought me here.
Yeah.
Mine was a job change necessitated by a layoff situation, which we all know that happens in the corporate world. But I landed here in HR quite by accident. But it's very interesting. My job in the corporate world was heavily customer service based with corporate clients. And when I landed here, I realized customer service is universal, whether you're dealing with an individual or a corporate client.
So true.
And that's what this job is. Like Nikki, I started as a tech, and from the sub office to a certification tech, and grew in the role. But I see that my focus is the teachers that I serve, no matter what part of the alphabet I'm working with. And my job is to make their job easier. That
That's
when it
huge.
comes,
yeah.
Because like Carla said, certification can be daunting, whether you come from out of state or you just graduated. And it's our job to facilitate that, finding the answer or the right way to get certified, and especially for the folks who are courageous enough to step forward, not being certified, and accept that conditional teacher role without the preparation. We want to get them on the right path.
Absolutely. That's big. And then that jumps right into our first question. So let's talk a little bit about conditional teachers, which is my job, and I work really solely with conditional teachers. And certification is such a daunting task, and it can be so confusing and overwhelming. So thank you to all of you for helping out with this. It's nice to have a small unit that we can reach out to, but also a small unit, oh my gosh, with all these teachers, it's crazy. So tell us a little bit about, what is a conditional teacher, conditional license, and who is eligible for that?
So the minimum requirement for someone to be eligible for a conditional certificate or a license is a bachelor's degree. The only exception to that is we do have the CAT centers, which those are PTE teachers or professional and technical education. Those trade areas don't require that bachelor's degree, but for every other classroom teacher, the minimum requirement is that degree earned. And conditional certificates and licenses are only issued by local school systems. MSD does not issue them because they have such requirements that go along with it. Coursework, testing, experience, that only local school systems can issue them to an educator once they're in a classroom.
That's interesting. I did not know that. Okay, and that actually answers some of the questions that I have rattling in my head. So how does licensure differ for a first-year conditional teacher versus a second or third year?
To answer that question, I think it's important for everyone to understand the significant changes that have occurred recently with teacher licensure in Maryland.
So much.
In April 2024, so it's not even been a year. New regulations governing teacher licensure in Maryland were released after more than a decade of attempted revision. And the pathways to earning professional licensure changed, along with the word certification to licensure. That's been a big jump. So we're currently managing that transition period between certificates and licenses for all educators. If a teacher currently holds a certificate, they will be renewed to a license when that certificate expires. So based on this transition timeline, first-year conditionals hired this year are being issued a license, but second and third-year conditionals and longer, those teachers started on a certificate.
Okay, that answers a question that I had as well, so thanks for that.
So provisionally contracted teachers hired prior to April 2024 were issued that conditional certificate in their assigned subject area, and they can continue on the pathways that were available to them using the historic regulations. These teachers would have received a transcript analysis form showing the courses and tests needed for certification. They could also choose to pursue a Master of Arts in Teaching for their assigned subject area, or join one of the Maryland Alternative Preparation Programs offered here in AACPS with partnership with AACC if they're teaching in an eligible area.
Okay.
For conditional certificate holders, when their certificate expires, they will then be issued a conditional license and can continue on the path they have chosen to certify. I'll just take a moment to say every conditionally certified teacher is eligible to be issued a conditional license.
Okay. Good to know,
Yeah, so it's important to note, though, for those educators that are using that transcript analysis evaluation as a guide for completing their requirements, that transcript analysis document expires on March 31st, 2027.
Okay.
So 3 years from the dates the regulations changed. At that time, all requirements will need to be completed and submitted if they want to certify that way. If not completed, they have until their conditional license expires to finish a different path.
Okay.
So there's a lot of uncertainty there. So
right.
And there's also changes to the pedagogy testing requirements that take effect this July that will affect a lot of these educators.
And they should have about that.
Yeah, those educators should have heard from us about that already. But if they don't know, please ask. But licenses for the new year teachers, they're always issued in the area based on the educator's teaching assignment, which is the same as certificates have always been. So for conditional teachers who have been issued a license after April 1st, 2024, either for the first license or renewing a conditional certificate, if they're assigned to teach special education, they're issued a conditional special education license, or a CSEL. That's valid for 3 years. If the conditional educator is assigned any other subject area, they're issued a conditional license, or CL, which is valid for 5 years. Each of those are non-renewable, meaning that all requirements for earning the professional license must be completed by the expiration of that license.
Wow. I know, and I'm just going to say, it always blows my mind that special ed only has 3 years.
Yes.
But yeah, and I know we'll talk about this a little bit more, but it's nice to know that there's some new programs coming along the way to help our special ed teachers get certified in a little quicker fashion too. So hopefully those new teachers will have some good programs to help them along. So how have pathways to earning a professional license changed for first-year conditional teachers?
So as we said before, the transcript analysis pathway went away.
Yeah.
So all new teachers issued the CL or the CSEL must now complete a formal program to earn their professional license. So that each conditional teacher has received or will receive an email from their certification licensure specialist outlining those options. And here's a quick summary. We can probably talk a little bit more about these. But the Maryland Traditional Degree Program, Master of Arts, or a post-baccalaureate certificate in teaching leading to initial licensure in their assigned teaching area.
Okay.
And MSDE maintains a list of the approved programs on their website, which we are happy to send out upon request. The Alt Prep, I mentioned before, Alt Prep MAAPP, or Maryland Approved Alternative Preparation Program. AACPS has several of those offered in partnership with ACC and the special ed ones with Notre Dame. But we also call it the Resident Teacher Program. Those are excellent options for a lot of teachers. Out-of-state programs. teachers are not required to take a Maryland program, so many are online right now.
Mm-hmm.
If they find a out-of-state preparation program, as long as it leads to licensure, initial licensure, that's critical.
Okay,
They're
okay.
eligible to take a program from another state. And if somehow they've earned an out-of-state license, that's a valid pathway.
Okay.
If they've earned an out-of-state license. So, but all of those above options require passing scores on the appropriate tests. And with the new regulations,
Mm-hmm.
the reading test, the Praxis reading test, which is required for people certifying in elementary,
Yeah.
early childhood, ESOL, or special education. And everyone has to meet the pedagogy or performance assessments. So there's a lot.
There is a lot, which is why I just keep saying you need to reach out to your certification specialist. Because really, I mean, when it comes down to it, again, you guys are the only three that are really certified to answer these questions. So while there are others out there that have some knowledge, you are the three that you hold the keys. You know the things that they can do, the things that they can't do. So I'm just going to put it out there again. Reach out to your certification specialist if you have questions. So let's talk a little bit about special education, because I know our special educators, who hold a very special place in my heart, especially those conditional special educators. What are the licensure options for special educators that are conditional?
Yeah, so I think Joyce already mentioned many of the programs that they can follow. I think the one thing to keep in mind, keep that 3-year license validity period in the back of your head, because 3 years seems like a lot, but it's not. Once you, because so we have to start early with our special ed conditional teachers, and we try this year specifically to send information to them as soon as possible, so that they could know the options that they have. But just to summarize what Joyce mentioned, you may pursue a Maryland approved program. That could be a master's degree in special education. It could be a post-bachelor certificate. You could also do an out-of-state program. It must lead to certification in that state, so it needs to have a student teaching experience. Okay. This is how you will know if it leads to certification. It has to have that student teaching. We usually have or educators looking for master's degrees, and it may just be a master's in education, but it's not necessarily a master's in teaching that leads to certification in that state. So that difference, when you're looking for a master's degree, you want to look for that student teaching experience. You could also pursue the resident teacher program, which is the alternative program that we offer here at AACC. It is a partnership with Notre Dame University. We have had that program for a very long time.
It's a fantastic program.
It's a very strong program. So, educators interested in the resident teacher program, they can reach out to Maureen Garrity. She is the special ed RT program manager, and she will be able to offer them the entry requirement information and everything they need to do to get in. The program does lead to a certificate, a post-bachelor certificate, which puts the educator about 9 credits short from a master's. So many of our educators will complete the certificate program to get the license, but then, continue with the 9 credits so that they can get that higher degree and also a salary increase, which is what they're looking for sometimes. So, but Maureen Garrity is the point of contact for that program, so we highly suggest anybody interested in that program to reach out to her.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to throw in there, with any questions about who to contact, please, you can always reach out to your Right Start advisor, or any special educator in your building might know as well. But Maureen Garrity is the person to go to for that special ed RT program.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is exciting. We also have a new opportunity for special education teachers, conditional special education teachers, that we hope it will be soon approved by MSDE, so that we can start, moving forward with offering it to our educators at the start of the 2026 school year. This is called the in-district pathway. It is a new pathway to certification. It will be also a partnership with the community college, AACC, and it will be a 3-year long program. So it will be critical for our new special ed teachers interested in this program to enroll as soon as they get hired.
Yeah,
right?
seriously.
Because they have
Yeah.
a 3-year license and a 3-year program. You
Yeah.
need all the time that you have on your license. Unfortunately, this program is not available for teachers who were hired during the 2025 school year because this program has not yet been approved by MSDE.
Right.
So
Right.
we have sent a proposal to MSDE, and we hope to hear soon from
Hopefully.
them.
Yep.
Yes.
And now this was a very exciting program. I got to sit in and be part of the process to write it and just kind of give I was invited to give my insight for conditional teachers and kind of be an advocate for conditional teachers, which is really exciting. But this really took a long time, and to go through this process and send it out. I know they submitted it, I believe, in early February, the end of January, early February. So hopefully we'll hear soon. This is the first in-district program, I think, in Maryland.
Yes.
So that has been sent in. So fingers crossed.
Yes. And if I can just add, because Carla gave the contact information for the RT specialist for special ed, the RT contact for the Anne Arundel County program, we actually have 2, and it's divided upon if you're doing early childhood elementary, which is Stacy Kopic, or if you're doing middle school, high school, that would be Debbie Montgomery. So if you're interested in that, and then even just to see if the program is offered for your subject, reach out to them to inquire.
Absolutely. And if Debbie and Stacy and maybe Maureen are listening, I'll be contacting you pretty soon to have you on. So hope your ears are burning a little bit. All right. So thank you for that. That was really insightful. Even some of those nuances that I didn't even know about. So that's why it's important to contact your certification specialist.
And really, I mean, just with all the information about conditional licenses that's out there is really we urge all the educators to reach out to us to set up a Google Meet and just go over all the options for the pathways. Is that, we keep saying it's overwhelming, but it's overwhelming.
It is.
And to be able to have all the information presented either in a meeting or a phone call usually helps the educator in terms of digesting it.
And would it be okay for them to invite, if it's a new teacher, to invite their Right advisor to kind of sit in, or your certification, or your CTSF to sit in on that conversation? That'd be awesome.
We
take
recommend
notes.
it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
awesome, great. So you heard it here. So let's talk a little bit about, we talked about a lot of these programs, master's programs, certification options for programs to get certified, licensed. Is there tuition reimbursement available?
Yes.
Yay.
We have tuition reimbursement available. And this is so great about AACPS, right? Always taking care of our teachers and trying to provide what they need. Whether you're conditionally or whether you are professionally certified, there is financial assistance to get you to the next level in your professional journey.
I'm going to pop in real quick, Carla. Pardon me for just a second, but I'm going to say, having taught in many different school districts, I taught in Rhode Island, I taught in Connecticut, I taught in Texas, and Maryland, obviously, but in New Jersey a little bit too. This is the only state that I really got solid tuition reimbursement. You get a little bit here and there, but it wasn't enough to really to cover. So coming here and having this option was huge for me. So it's something to really kind of bring teachers in a little bit, and it's a great way to get teachers to want to come to Anne Arundel County Public Schools. So thank you.
Well, and I say that not to say oh wow, AACPS is all great, but I was a teacher here myself too, so I got to experience and I taught out of state as well. So I have been in several places, and I can say it is great what we offer here. So,
Truly.
So I'm going to talk about the two different tuition reimbursement programs that we have. The first one is our standard tuition reimbursement, which pays for up to 6 college credits per year for up to $250 per credit. And that is for our conditional teachers and our professionally certified teachers as well. So all Unit 1 teachers can apply for the standard tuition reimbursement program. Outside of that, we have what we call the tuition reimbursement program for advanced degree in a critical shortage area, also known as CSA. And this program pays for up to 18 credits per reimbursement year for no more than 6 credits per semester, and it pays at the graduate rate of the University of Maryland system.
Wow, yeah.
So that could change, whatever the current rate for, at that moment for the graduate level courses, that would be the reimbursement that you get if you apply for CSA. For this program, you do have to submit an application. You have to prove you're pursuing an advanced degree in a critical shortage area. We have a list of our critical shortage areas in our website, aacps.org, tuition reimbursement. And in order to be approved, the program must lead or add a new licensure area in a critical shortage area to your current license. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. It cannot just be an advanced degree in education, not leading to licensure in a critical shortage area.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's good to know. And I know that there are a lot of critical shortage areas. At least there were in the past. I haven't looked this year, but I'm pretty sure that they're still out there.
Pretty sure it's almost every
all
year.
of them, I know. And the list grew and grew and grew for the longest time. So check it out. And we'll try to link some of this in the YouTube notes as well, so we can have that there. But really good information for our teachers. And then the next question that I kind of like caveats into this. So, especially we hear like the extension for some of our regularly certified or generally certified teachers, anything pretty much outside of special education has that for a 5-year, period to get certified. So what are the benefits of obtaining a professional license?
I mean, the first thing is that if you don't complete the requirements within that time period of the conditional license or the conditional special ed licenses, you're not eligible for another license at that point. So with obtaining professional licensure, teachers also issued a regular contract. Yep. With this regular contract, there's no need to apply for the position annually, which, if you're hired on a conditional license, you have a 1-year provisional contract. Every spring, those positions are posted, and every teacher has to go through the process of reapplying, which has to be stressful.
Absolutely.
As much as, you think that you're good at the job and you think you're a good fit, it's still the anxiety of, am I going to have a job next year? So, I think that that's a huge benefit, that once you're on that regular contract, it remains active as long as you maintain employment with AACPS. You also have to be on a regular contract to achieve tenure. So the time on the conditional license counts towards tenure, but you can't officially earn it until you sign that regular contract. There's 4 different types of professional licenses in Maryland. We have the initial professional license, the professional license, the advanced professional license, and the temporary professional licenses. The eligibility requirements for each of the licenses dependent upon degree level and years of experience. So, for example, the initial professional license, or known as the IPL, is issued to a new educator who completes one of the pathways for licensure. The professional license, known as the PL, is issued to an educator who has 3 years of teaching experience. The Advanced Professional License, or APL, is issued to an educator who has the 3 years of experience, but then also has a master's degree, or maybe they've earned national board certification, or has 30 post-bac credits, and that's graduate or undergraduate, to get to that APL level. So really, if you're, let's just, finish up the conditional license conversation, is we have some educators who go right from a conditional to an APL. If they did a master's degree and it takes them 3 years, then, sometimes you jump all those other licenses in terms of going right towards the APL, which is the highest license in Maryland. And then it's just renewing every 5 years at that point.
I'm just going to pop in because on Friday afternoon, I had a lovely conversation with a teacher who wanted to meet with me in person. So absolutely went back to the school. She was so excited that new teacher hired and she started teaching in the end of January. And we, gave her some information, had her reach out to you guys. And Friday afternoon, she found out that she was now APL. She's certified in three areas. Yes, Carla, she knows who I'm talking about. And can I just say, the excitement was so contagious. Even this morning, she gave me a big hug. It was lovely.
We like giving good news.
It was the best thing ever. But
don't
with
like
that,
giving hugs.
Also,
Sorry.
also came a nice little baby bump, right?
Yes.
So, which is lovely. And still, being a mid-year hire, she has to reapply for her position, which was another conversation they had this morning at the school that I was at visiting. That, just to have that conversation, admin had a conversation with those teachers to let them know, don't be nervous. This is coming. You're going to need to reapply, but we're here to help. So here are the resources available to you. Please make use of them. So it was just the most exciting thing to see somebody jump from conditional to APL in a couple weeks.
And I think that goes back to what we keep talking about is that, sitting with an educator and deeming kind of what is the end goal. It really helps determine the pathway. So, and we are here to help with any and all of those possibilities and situations, but it's really figuring out what is the end result that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of what we've talked about has been for conditional teachers, kind of getting into the nuances, a little bit of that renewal part now, because we do have so many teachers that are out there that are not necessarily new to teaching, but, are currently certified or are working towards that license, which I just got, I think, in December, because I reached out to my certification specialist. So when do teachers need to renew, and how does that process work for currently licensed teachers or currently certified teachers? They're not licensed until they get the renewal? I know you guys have to explain this.
So even if you are a conditional teacher, you are a licensed teacher because you hold a license. However, you are not professionally licensed. You haven't met the MSDE licensure, requirements for professional licensure. Okay. So, but they are all licensed. So the majority of the licenses that we have in Maryland expire every 5 years, with the exception of the special education 3-year license, which is non-renewable. And then conditional teachers hold anybody who is not a special ed teacher holds a 5-year conditional license, which is also non-renewable. So you must meet the requirements. Another non-renewable license is the temporary professional license. This is new in Maryland. That is a 2-year license, and it's non-renewable. You must have the requirements to move on to the initial professional license after those 2 years to keep teaching, basically, to keep holding a professional license in Maryland. The initial professional license, the professional license, and the advanced professional license, those are 5-year licenses in Maryland, and they must be renewed. The requirements are the same now if you hold a license. As the new regulations state, you must have 90 clock hours or 90 professional development points to renew a professional license. You must also complete the IPDP, the Individualized Professional Development Plan. That is actually your recording sheet where you're going to note all the professional development that you're completing, and you're going to be able to know if you have those 90 clock hours.
And
right?
some of those, can they find some of those, if I'm not mistaken, on Unified Talent?
Yes.
That's right.
There's a tab that says transcript, right?
Yes.
So you can look under that transcript and you'll be able to see like the MSDE credit hours and things like that, the APC. Yeah, so that's a location where you can find them. So if you're not sure, they're there. Reach out to your Right Start advisor. Administrator should be able to help you as well. So
Yes. So
you don't have to have them memorized.
And you can, you know, the great thing about the Unified Talent Transcript is that it gives you the title of the courses you have taken, which you can just kind of take that and put it in your IPDP. And it also gives you the amount of hours you have earned in each of those courses. So that's the great thing about that. When you are completing the IPDP, you must also attach, if you're using Unified Talent courses, you must also attach the Unified Talent transcript as proof that what you have noted in your IPDP, it's what you have completed. So you need to complete those 90 clock hours. You need to complete your IPDP. The IPDP has two parts to it. The first one is a proposal of what you're going to do. That first review needs to be also done with your supervisor, either an assistant principal or a principal. And you're basically just proposing what you're going to do to renew your license in 5 years. After you have completed the credits, you're going to do a final review. That could be 2 years later. It could be 3 years later. It could be at the end of 4 or the 5 years. So you must hold to this document. Make sure you don't lose it, right? Because you may have a different supervisor at that time, and you need to have record of that initial review that you did in the beginning. So the final review does not necessarily have to be the same as what you proposed. Things could have changed. It doesn't have to be exactly the same courses that you proposed, as long as you have the 90 hours completed. It is very important to note that MSDE is being clear that within those 90 hours that have to be completed, at least one of those hours must be in the following 4 areas. Okay. The first area is content or pedagogy related to your licensure area. So if you have elementary, it has to be related to that. The second area is English as a second language, or shelter English, or bilingual education. Third area is strategies for teaching students with disabilities or differentiated instruction. And the last one is culturally responsive teaching, or diverse student identities in education. So out of the 90 hours, just keep in mind that one, at least, one have to be in each one of these 4 areas.
And if I can just interrupt for just 1 second, back to what Diana was talking about with the Unified Talent, is that there is also a way to find PD offerings through Anne Arundel that fulfill each of those areas. And that list is evolving, and PLOA is helping us with that. But there's a way to go on and search for what fulfills strategies for teaching students, or what fulfills culturally responsive teaching. So we're really trying to partner with the PLOA office to help us with a lot of that in terms of offerings within AACPS.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
make it a little easier to just kind of figure out what falls under each category. That's helpful. Thank you.
Yes. Then I think another thing to keep in mind is that the renewal requirements change depending on the endorsement areas that you have on your license. So what I have just mentioned is for anybody who's just a teacher and has teaching areas in their licensures. But let's say you hold a license in school counseling as a school counselor. Now there's an additional requirement for you. You must meet the 90 credits, complete the IPDP, but then you also have to complete at least one semester credit in fulfilling the Lawrence Law requirement in Maryland. That can be, coursework on trauma-informed practices.
Yeah.
It could be, violence, youth, suicidal, substance abuse, and those kinds of things. So,
and we offer the Lawrence Law within AACPS.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah,
if
that's
they
helpful.
can contact Shirley or Susan in terms of the offerings of that, but it's offered within Unified Talent. Just I'm not quite sure of the sequence or the schedule of those offerings, so just keep that in mind with the expiration date
That's
of
good
the.
to know.
And
Yeah.
MSDE also maintains a list of courses that fulfill that requirement on their website as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
yeah, so that's, something to keep in mind. That is different. So we always recommend that you're very aware of the endorsements that you have on your license so that you know exactly the requirements that you need to meet. And then for administrators, right, if you hold
they still need to get renewed too.
yes, they still need to get their license renewed. And if they are in an administrator position, so they must be, not just hold the endorsement, but if they hold the endorsement and are in an administrator position, then they must meet additional requirements. And that is, in addition to the 4 areas and the 90 clock hours, they must meet at least 1 hour in strategies for increasing teacher retention and strategies for developing and facilitating teacher leadership. So, yes. So, but just keep in mind, you must be in that role at the time your license expires. Okay. So that would be a requirement if you are teaching, if you're in one of those positions. Mm-hmm. I think maybe the last thing we should mention here is the science of reading, which is a very popular topic.
Hot topic.
Right now. Yes.
Huge.
So if you're teaching elementary education, early childhood, special education, or ESOL, MSD is now requiring teachers who hold those endorsements and are in a teaching assignment in any of these 4 areas to complete the science of reading requirement. And there are different ways, there are different options that MSD has already approved on how someone can complete that. There's 2 sets. One is assessments and another one is coursework. Okay. You must complete one of the approved options. If you have completed teaching coursework in the past that was required for elementary, special ed, and early childhood teachers, you may see that ancillary credits on your certificate, right? It would say 6 credits or 12 credits. Unfortunately, those credits do not count.
Oh, great.
So they must be met using one of the approved options by MSD.
Please don't get mad at us. It's not our rules.
I get it. I know, and I'm just thinking, right, because I'm primarily in Anne Arundel County. I've been secondary. I taught, middle school. However, I have an elementary, that's where I started out, elementary education, and even have my early childhood endorsement. So guess who's gonna have to do some more? So, yeah, this is good to know, because even though I'm not currently, in order to keep that and maintain that endorsement, those endorsements, I'm still going to need to do that science of reading coursework or get that passing score. So, yeah, good to know.
So you won't need them. In your case, let's say your certificate expires at the end of this June, right? June.
I just renewed in December. So, yeah.
So if you're not teaching elementary education and you hold the elementary endorsement, but you're not teaching at the time you have to renew your license, the science of reading will not be a requirement for you, because it is based on
What you're teaching? Is that?
It's based on your assignment, and
okay.
it's based on the endorsement that you hold.
Oh, this is why you need to reach out to your certification
Yes.
specialist. There are so many nuances that, right? Like, and it can get very, but you guys, I mean, you guys are the pros, you know the thing, so this is cool. Yeah.
And another thing to add to that, and you may have planning to say this, is if you're on a certificate right now, science of reading is not a requirement for your renewal.
Oh.
If
maybe that's why I did,
like in your case, you were just renewed to your first license. If you were in the elementary assignment, by the end of that license, you'll need to have it.
I gotcha.
So if you look at your documents and it says certificate, it's not a requirement for you right now. But if you look at your document and it says license, after July 1st, it's a requirement for you if you're in that assignment for an endorsement that requires it.
All right. Well, this all good information to know. All new information, because I'm going to tell you, like, with the changes that have, and they've been coming so fast. I remember the last time, we talked, we had it was just the two of you at the time that we had this conversation, and we had just started with the what's happening with Blueprint. And there were so many unknowns, and now we're like full in, it's crazy 3 years later, right? So are there new approaches within your office, within the certification office or the licensure office, that you guys are?
Yeah, well, as you can probably hear, there's a lot of transition happening.
Yep.
So our biggest job is to manage the transition of information for everybody, because some of the rules are different. Some of the people can operate under historic rules, and some people have to follow the license rules. But we're working, I guess the most important thing is we're working to coordinate and exchange information with everyone who communicates with conditional teachers, like Great Starts, or the one of the folks we were working with are the managers of the RT programs, and we offer up a newsletter that's shared via email to all the provisionally contracted teachers to include information about their programs, but also information we want to share. So it's kind of all in one place, and the who to contacts are included on that. So, and I think Carla mentioned it, but this past fall, it was our goal to reach out to conditional teachers as soon as possible. Yeah. Because now that the information is choose a pathway, we were sending out an email that says, here are the pathways that you'll be, offered within Maryland to get your license. Be thinking about this. Reach out to us with questions. So we were able to send that out much earlier than we normally could. And in that email, we said, if you've thought about it and you want to select a pathway, select it, and we can share more information with you. Right. And so the people that said, I think I'd like to do the resident teacher or the alt prep program, we shared those names with the folks that run those programs. So those, Debbie Montgomery or Stacy or Maureen could reach out directly to those teachers to share more information. So trying to get the best information out there to the people who need it is our goal. But and we, like I think Nikki mentioned it earlier, we always offer the opportunity to meet individually, either on Teams, Google Meet, at the convenience of the teacher. What's your planning period? Sure, let's set it up. Do you want to meet at the end of the school day? We'll set that up. We might have work hours, but I can flex earlier or later to accommodate a teacher's schedule. So it's not that hard. That one-on-one conversation a lot of times is all that's needed for a teacher to kind of have the pieces fall into place. They've got questions, and we can have a one-on-one conversation and address those questions. And if a question brings up another question, we're right there to answer it. I was thinking about a master's degree. Well, that's not the best program. Let me describe why. Look for the student teaching. There's one-on-one conversation really makes a big difference. But like we've talked about, all the educators having a license, with this regulation change, there's a lot of information changing, even for people who have been teaching. So we're just trying to manage that transition for everybody. And like I said, they're our customers. We want to be good customer service stewards and give them the best information possible. So, we know they rely on us for accurate information when it comes to their license or their certificate.
And I will say, in doing what I do, and you guys all hear from us, like Right Start Advisors and conditional teacher specialists on a regular basis, like you guys are all very approachable, and it makes it so much easier, and the contact is I mean, I just emailed the other day and I get an email back, and it's just it's I know you have a lot, you have managing a lot of teachers and their workloads and their caseloads, so I mean I want to make sure that everybody knows that there are 3 of you for every teacher. Like, for all the teachers in our county, there's just the 3 of you. So I appreciate the expeditious responses, especially when the anxiety right now starts to really come about, when I have to reapply for my job. What does that mean? So again, reach out to your Right Start advisor, reach out to your certification specialist. We'll help you. And now there's my big question. And this one really has been racking my brain, and a lot of different, some of our conditional teachers that are really close to that certification, or teachers that are currently licensed or certified, working towards that renewal. Can you break down the differences between the career ladder and remaining on the regular pay scale? I feel like there have been a lot of questions about that, and what does that look like?
It's a lot of new information. You know, you add it to the pot in terms of changes that keep coming. The biggest things with the AACPS career ladder is that it's really meant to provide a structured pathway for teachers to advance professionally, earn additional compensation, and expand their leadership roles within the system. Unlike the current salary scale, which is, based upon grade and step, you see the salary lanes in terms of based upon degree level and certifications. The teacher career ladder is defined in Blueprint and is structured so that a teacher can move up by achieving and maintaining national board, and by pursuing instructional leadership positions if desired. National board's certification must opt into the teacher career ladder in order to receive the state salary enhancement.
Gotcha.
So they communication had been shared earlier this year in terms of just getting the information out with a slide and presentation to go along with it. But that is the biggest thing, is that if you achieve national board certification, you must move into the career ladder to receive the money that's associated with earning national board. The decision to pursue the career ladder or to stay on the traditional scale is unique to each teacher's given circumstances. We're very understanding of that. So for differences in the salary scales, really, I would refer employees to review or watch the presentation that's on the intranet site. Eligible employees can determine where they are on the current existing salary scale and what their option would be if they selected the teacher career ladder.
Yeah.
And, we're advisors when it comes to certification and licensure,
but
not salary. And it really is what's best fitting for your situation. If you think that you want to move, I just urge you to look at that presentation and to compare. Where would you be starting? Where would you be finishing? How long would it take you? But by no means are we here to advise in terms of that change.
There's a lot of...
It's really an individual decision. So slide 13 covers the length of time that you could remain on each level, which I think is important to consider. Eligible employees should consider their qualifications and years of experiences.
Right.
And then determine if a position is available on the career ladder.
Yeah, that's good. I think, going back and reviewing that, because there was so much information that's been coming out, and just going back and hitting that and knowing where that is, I think, we can share that a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's overwhelming. Again, it's one more overwhelming.
Yeah.
We have the presentation. We also have an email that's been set up for Teacher Career Ladder that I think is included on that presentation, that if you have questions about it in terms of clarification on items. But again, we are not here to tell you that it is to switch in your situation, other than if you're national board, you have to switch.
Right. So that's very good and helpful information. Because yes, I mean, and even with the certification and licensure, it is really unique to each individual person and where you are and what you have in terms of credentials and so forth. And so
and one of the things I don't think we mentioned is that moving forward, it is likely you're going to have the option to switch back if you don't like it.
Oh, on the career ladder.
On an annual basis only.
Yeah.
Is the intention. We're still nailing down the processes, but
oh, that's interesting to know. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that.
So that's a possibility. If you land somewhere and decide, you know what, I don't see this happening for me. I think I'd rather go back to traditional. That'll be an option.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Choices are good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's we keep comparing it to almost like an open enrollment for benefits that.
Oh, I like that.
You know, it's what's best for you.
Yeah. You
know, this plan, this amount of flexible spending, whatever it might be. And then if that doesn't work, next November you make the change.
I like the analogy.
So
thank you.
It's a good one.
Well, Joyce, Carla, and Nikki, thank you so much for coming out and spending time with me and sharing so much information with our teachers. And thank you for joining us and listening in. Please invite your fellow teachers to give a listen. You can check out our episodes and any shared resources on our AACPS YouTube channel, where you can find us under the podcast tab. Look for Filling Your Toolbox. And thank you to all of our teachers for everything you do for our students every day. We appreciate you.